Welcome to Women Empower Active, an initiative started by UR Sportswear to empower women to find their own active adventure. I'm your host, Jacalyn Gross, and today's episode is going to be all the words of empowerment from 2023. We have had so many empowering conversations, and I've gotten so much out of it in my training and pushing myself. I've referred back to these words from these women over the entire year. And I thought, let's put it back together. Let's put all of the words of empowerment into one episode so that we can draw more inspiration from those words. Our first guest, and we do them in order, is Sarah Histand. And she had her episode in January of 2023. So I hope you enjoy.
Yeah, well, it's tough to be an adult learner, especially with all of the expectations that we talked about throughout this conversation. So I would just really normalize that experience and say that it's okay to feel uncomfortable, scared, intimidated. Like all those things are really normal. I've been there. Everybody I work with pretty much has too. You're certainly not alone with it. And I would encourage the a slow and steady learning curve, and really try to let go of the comparison traps that we can get from Instagram and all of the other places of seeing people make this look like it's easy. None of this is easy. We're in truly risky situations, both physically and mentally and environmentally. So there's a lot of safety red flags often that are going off in your nervous system when you're learning something new. And the way to do that doesn't just overwhelm your system, so you end up flooded and scared and never want to do this again, is to do it in little doses and take on a challenge that's just a little bit, just maybe within your comfort zone or just a little bit outside of it, and then come back and rest and make sure your body is able to integrate that and realize that it survived, and then rest and go back at a different day and pick up something that's maybe a little bit a notch higher. But I would want to take away any pressure to move too quickly through the learning process, because we don't learn very well when we're scared. So whatever it takes to enjoy the experience is going to really help.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, definitely not learning when I'm freaking out. That I've been in climbing situations when that's happened too, trying to teach me while I'm climbing and I'm freaking out about falling or whatever else. Learning's not happening at that point.
Oh, the part of your brain that learns, the prefrontal cortex, is turned off when we're in survival mode. Our body is just I'm just gripped so I can get through this, and you can't learn in those situations. So yeah, there's a lot to be said for baby steps, for the green slopes when you're skiing, for the easy climbs, for the stuff that is not too big of a push. And eventually your system and your skills build so that the bigger challenges aren't as threatening to the body.
Oh my gosh, such good words of empowerment from Sarah. I definitely felt that. You are not learning when you're freaked out. You are just trying to survive. So I thought those were great words of empowerment, and something that gave me some validation in climbing and in other instances where I'm very freaked out and not feeling like I'm learning. The next episode is with Kriste Peoples, and she had so many good words of empowerment in this episode. So please go back and listen if you haven't yet. But here's the words that she gave.
Say yes to yourself. Say, why not me? Say, I have no idea what I'm doing, and keep going anyway. Lean in the direction of your own adventure, whether that's an inner adventure, an outer adventure. Give yourself permission to explore it. You don't have to win. How about this? You're not going to win. And let that be encouragement to know that the stakes don't have to be high. But you can advocate for yourself by giving yourself permission to take one new step, to explore one new interest and go from there. Because every moment, I mean, it sounds cliche, but every moment is full of opportunity and is precious, you know? And when you think of the constellation of circumstances and synergies and events that made it possible for you to be you, you'll realize that you might just be a miracle. And so anything that you do is gravy. So why not? Why not you? That's what I'd say.
Oh my gosh, almost got me again. Kriste almost got me at the end there. She is so empowering, and I get chills every time she talks. The thing that she said about all of the things coming together to potentially you could be a miracle, like that, definitely hit home. And also that, you don't always have to win. So take the pressure off yourself. Those two things really stuck with me. The next episode we have for you is with Irene Yee. Pronouns she, her. Irene is a very special person who is so empowering in her own right. And really loved this episode. It was really fun to speak with her and kind of get her perspective on things. And I think you really enjoy as well this episode. Now I'm just advertising all the episodes, but they are really great, and each in its own individual way. So enjoy Irene's words.
You got this, right? Whatever it is, if it's getting out of the door, if it's stepping into the climbing gym, if it's choosing not to go to the climbing gym, whatever it is, you got this. Sometimes it takes a little while to figure it out, but whatever you do, you got it. I mean, just know that it is scary, and it is okay to be scared. The first time I took my first solo road trip, I was terrified. I woke up that morning with my car half packed, and I was just like, I don't have to do this. I don't want to leave. I'm scared. This is so scary to me. I've never done anything like this before in my life. I am going alone. I have no idea, like I had a vague plan. And like, I cried all the way to Moab. And I just want you to know that's okay. I was terrified the whole first night. I had no camping experience. I just like ended up sleeping randomly in my car because I was like running out of gas and I didn't know where I was. And I just needed to sleep for the night. And then I opened my food bin and the maple syrup had exploded over everything. And it was that overwhelming experience of like, who am I to do this? I can't do this. I'm so scared. I don't want to do this. And then I woke up in the morning realizing, right, that those fears were kind of not ridiculous, but I was like, Irene, you are a creative person and you find ways to just deal with what comes to you. And you forgot that. And here you are. And you're like, okay, cool. Maple syrup explosion. Not the worst. It's a pain in the butt, right? It's not going to make or break you. Like, you were too scared to put up your tent last night. That's fine, but you learned you can sleep in your locked car, and that was great. And then I proceeded to have the best time of my life by just being open to new experiences and understanding that I am a smart, confident person who can deal with things as it comes to them. Even though I forgot that for a little bit and I was really upset, it's okay. It is scary to do things alone, but you should give it a try sometimes. And remember that you are a person who can like deal with things as it comes to them, and you'll be okay. It's not always easy. It's not always great, right? We only see the social media pictures at the end, but not like, hey, I didn't want to leave and do this. And I was about to cancel my entire trip because I was too scared to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's important too. Like, people have these reservations, just like,
and that's okay. That's normal. That is part of being human.
Yes. Yes. Irene Yee, you're so awesome. Okay. So she just like kind of calls it out, not everything is social media. Not everything is like, oh, it was amazing the entire time. Look at this beautiful backdrop. Sometimes it's like, I'm freaking out. I can't do this. I'm not sure I can do this. And we don't show that enough to others. We only show the outcome, the beautiful part, not the freak out part. So it's very important that we show both of those parts and, give perspective on the really terrible freak out moments as well. The next person we have is Patty Peoples, who is an awesome cyclist and just all around amazing woman who is very inspiring. And a lot of the things that she says as words of empowerment are things that I think about while I'm racing. So I hope you enjoy.
And then see it, believe it, achieve it. Never too old, never too late, and never give up. Really, the thing about never too old, don't let age, don't let any characteristic keep you from something. Like, are you too short or too tall? Don't make excuses of why you can't accomplish something. If there's a will, there's a way. All the cliches are a cliche for a reason because they're true. So I think women, really, never too old, never too late, never give up. Make adjustments, yes. And you can drop something. That's not giving up. You realize I didn't really want that because what I imagine, it's not what I want. I have to readjust that. An artist, a painter, changes their painting all the time because all of a sudden they decide, oh, a different color, this and that. But and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid not to do so well. If you really want something, you'll learn it. You'll get better. Your body adapts quickly to it, and apply it in all aspects of your life, not just fitness. Put yourself out there, test yourself, challenge yourself. It's exciting to get the, a little bit of butterflies in the nerves. And then when you accomplish it, it's like, oh my God. And take the little steps, the little markers. Don't think, it's not going to happen overnight, but you get a victory, put those arms up in victory. It feels good to throw those arms up. So, get out there. No fear, no hesitation, no limits, no excuses, and definitely no whining.
Usually I ask if there's anything that I haven't asked you, but I feel like it's been such an easy interview because I haven't had to ask you anything. It's been exactly what I was going to ask you, but you've just gone through it without me having to say anything.
Well, you gave me good cues.
Okay, well, good. Thanks.
You gave me good cues. And also, too, because I've been a keynote speaker and motivational speaker, that it kind of, there's so many different things to talk about depending on what the audience is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just like to see people. I like to see people live. Live the life. They have to get confidence and self-esteem, and that is by setting little goals to the big goal. You have your short term, you have your long term goals, and it's not going to be like this. It goes all over the place, but you have to be proactive, keep moving forward, and when you're down or upset, yeah, have a good cry. You can get upset, you can be mad, but don't stay down too long. You have to give yourself okay, I'm going to be upset for 2 days, no more than 2 days. That third day comes, nope, no more. Get it out in those 2 days. You gave yourself 2 days. It's done. Move forward. Because who wants to be down for too long? But it's permissible, but you can't normalize down.
Oh, Patty Peoples, you're awesome. Okay, so I always think of those things like one of the things she had said in the episode, again, go back and listen to it. It's great. She had said don't count yourself out in a race. So I thought about that in my next race, actually, just like not counting yourself out. saying like, oh, I'm in this place, I'll just be in this place, like actually, giving yourself the opportunity, which was really huge for me and kind of really changed things in my perspective while I was racing. So, so many good words of empowerment from her. Our next guest was Brenna Anderst. She is an amazing climber and just all around adventurer. And I think you'll really enjoy her words as well. So without further ado, Brenna Anderst.
I would say that, and this goes for myself as well, but just don't compare yourself to others. And, especially with today's like heavy focus on social media, it's so easy to do. It's so easy to look at someone's social media feed or a fitness influencer and just think that like what they have or what they're doing is so unobtainable because they're doing so much. But, they're only really sharing a fraction of what they're actually doing or what their life looks like. And so just try whatever you want to do. And for me too, it also is all about surrounding yourself with the right people, encouraging people, and even if whatever you're trying doesn't go as well, if you're with the right people, it still is going to be fun and it still will be a good experience no matter what the actual outcome is physically. So yeah, just don't compare and surround yourself with good people.
Thank you, Brenna. Definitely need to always remember to not compare ourselves, especially since a lot of us, are on social media quite often and do that without even thinking about it. So I think those are really good, important points. And then, yes, surround yourself with people that will encourage and support you. Our next interviewee is myself. This was a race report episode, and I believe this was the trail race that I did in Smith Rock. It was a 50K. I don't do specific words of empowerment, but I say some pointers that really kind of, after I heard this from the race director, it kind of like stuck with me for the rest of the year. I think it's a good point. I'll let you listen to it and then I'll talk a little bit more about that after this. But before we started the race, we got to the start line and the race director was like, hey, there's mud on the course. It's about 20%. It's going to stick to your shoes. Don't worry. It'll fall off. Embrace the suck. Yes. Such good words of advice. Embrace the suck. Like, even when things aren't going right and everything's falling apart, just embrace it and do the best that you can. Like, that's how I took it. And it's what I think about when that is happening, or, it's like a really slippery, muddy, mushy, leafy feet and you can't go anywhere really on the trail, and basically trying not to fall down. It's just embrace the suck. It sucks, but get your work in. So I love that. It's just kind of getting along to get along kind of a thing, not like, oh, I'm so tough. It's just like, yeah, this sucks. Okay, let's keep moving on. So anyways, that's how I took it. And the next episode is actually a re-release of my interview with my sister, Jennifer. And I really wanted to add this one again because it's so cool watching her daughter grow up and my sister imparting her words onto her daughter and just seeing such an amazing individual grow. So I hope you enjoy her words of empowerment.
I would encourage them to, this might seem weird, but I would encourage them to trust their gut. I think that we, as women, for some reason, I think this is another socialization thing. I think we tend to undercut our internal, our feelings and our gut response to things, and we tend to discount it. I know I do, because I'm like, okay, I don't know that it's based on some kind of empirical evidence, so I must be. And especially if someone's telling me the opposite, I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm basing this on. But a lot of times human beings take in information without, the subconsciously, without realizing it, so we're putting things together and we're making assessments, kind of processing in the background all the time. So I think that young women especially are taught not to listen to their own internal voice. And I would say, to the extent possible, listen to your subconscious, whatever it's telling you, listen to your gut, whatever you want to call it. What's best for you more than anybody else does. I can't really give the advice to say, like, you're beautiful and perfect as you are. Although, that's one thing about having a child that has changed my perspective. It's made me a lot more appreciative of, like, the beauty of human beings, because I think she's absolutely the most perfect thing I've ever laid my eyes on. And I don't think there's a thing that she could do that change how perfect she is. I don't think she needs makeup. I don't think she needs, and I'll never feel that way. I'll never think she needs to, like, I get, like, teared up even thinking about her. But, like, I don't think she, so I try to, I think there's advice about talking to yourself, how you talking to others. And I think that's great advice, because we tell ourselves the worst things sometimes about ourselves. So I think that's advice that I've heard. Not everybody that has a daughter that can pretend that they're talking to their daughter like I can, but they can, pretend they're talking to a younger version of themselves, or what they needed to hear as a younger girl, or what they would tell their little sister if they had one, that kind of thing. I think just being kinder to, thinking about ourselves in a more kind way and talking to ourselves in a more kind way is something that I would hope everybody can strive to do. I know it's hard. Negative self-talk is an easy cycle to get into. Be nice to yourself, and then whatever it is you want to do, just go for it. You're never too old or too whatever to do whatever you want to do. Like, people, especially nowadays, you can, like, reinvent yourself a million different times in your life. And so, I mean, there's maybe a few things you're too old to do, but not many. So just go for it.
Obviously, those words of empowerment hit me a little different because that's my sister. But I really think those are so true. Like, we are so mean to ourselves in our head, and we would never, you'd never hear that from a loved one giving you advice. You give yourself the meanest advice. So that has also come with me when I race. Only positive things that I say in my head when I'm racing. I'm not telling myself, oh, you got to, you're not doing well, you got to do this, you got to do that. I'm giving myself, like, positive things and giving myself, like, kudos for doing a good job so far. So it really does change your perspective. I love those words of empowerment, and I love Eva, her daughter, and it's so cool to, again, watch her grow up. And she's becoming such an independent and interesting, funny, and amazing person. So those are great words of empowerment. Next up, we have Alesha Zappitella, and I think her words will speak for themselves. We'll talk after you hear them.
I would tell them to, no matter what, follow their heart. Don't let anybody tell them no. Nobody can decide their path but them. If they want to do something, pursue it in its fullest. Don't half-ass anything. Give it everything.
I love that so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, so awesome, Alesha. It's just so empowering to hear those words coming from her, especially such an amazing athlete and person overall. So thank you for sharing that with us. I really kind of think about those words when I'm in workouts. All right, next up we have Amna Khan, who is an awesome person who has, like, just changed her lifestyle completely. It's, again, a super great episode, and if you haven't listened to it, you should go back and listen to it. But here's her words of empowerment.
Yeah, I guess it really has to go back to that, because it's, like, obviously, like, in our fast-paced world right now, we have a, like, a tendency to, like, get automatic feedback, or just, like, we like buy something on Amazon, we'll get it in, like, the next day. And so we have to be, like, it can be, like, tough to see, like, a slow progress or a progression in ourselves. Like, it could be good, or even, like, find positiveness or positivity in it, as well. And so it's just like I have to like remind, or at least I have to remind myself, but I would like probably remind my like younger self that like we're human, and we're in like a constant state of like learning. And so every little action should be celebrated. So it could be like, whether it's just like getting up in the morning without pain, because like you could be having like, it could be after like an injury, or like I was talking about, like the winter season not climbing. And so just like getting back on the wall, and it's like seem daunting at the time, and then like being disappointed, like, oh, it used to be climbing a V3 and now I can only do a V2, or something like that. And so, or like a V0 even. And so just being able to be like, okay, I can still pull with my arms and do a pull up, or I can like still hang from the bar and still be like, that's amazing. Like not many people can still do that. And so I think it's just like, outside of like comparing yourselves to others, others and their achievements, I think we have to like we should like never try to compare ourselves to like our old self. So I like, even when I talk about like, oh, January Amna was climbing 11A trad and now she's not, but that's okay. Like I like the time in between then and now is like those like joyful and tough moments become, or like those like moments that we've had during that time, it like makes us who we are now. We should celebrate those like small victories every day, even if it's like waking up and being able to brush your teeth, because like my elbow tendonitis isn't hurting today and I can do that. So, or just yeah, or like I don't have a migraine because my concussion's better, or I can like go outside and not wear sunglasses because of that. And just like small little things we should like vocally celebrate, or even like journal about, because I think, at least for me now, like since my concussion and like my injuries, I've been like writing them down. So like when I'm in that mindset of being like, everything's horrible, I can't do it, my body's not listening to me, or whatever it may be, I just like go back to those pages where I'm like writing down like, oh, today I did this is amazing, or like, heck yeah, I like can climb decently hard, or it's not hard at all, but it's like, in that moment I like felt good. And we need to like celebrate those little things, even though we're like not getting to complete like 100% full beast mode, or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, just yeah. And so like I still have those days where I'm just like, damn, I need I like don't like what I'm doing, or like my body's not looking the right way, or just being on myself. And so I just have to also come back to it. And so I like would definitely tell my younger self, or my friends, and that like, stop comparing your old self to you. It's not good.
Mhm.
But yeah, having a good support system that'll help check in as well with you. Obviously, like if you, that's always obviously helpful in that mindset too. And so, especially coming out of an injury, or even like learning a new skill, it's always like your body doesn't know what it's doing, and so you're just learning in its weird way, and it'll take time, and sometimes people learn faster, and that's just how they are. And but your body's doing amazing, and just keep fighting it. You got it.
Yeah, I love that. Like celebrating all things, even if they're small, like really just appreciating your body for all the things that it does for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's a hard lesson to learn.
Yeah. I mean, I like I said, I'm like still have a hard time. I'm like, oh, and then I'll like call up my friend, and she's like, no, you're doing great. Like you've had a concussion, or like you have gone through it a lot. You need to like chill out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yes, support system is very important. So being able to have that friend to call up to talk to is important too. Thank you, Amna, for reminding us that we need to be kind to ourselves and celebrate all things that our bodies can do and show some compassion there. I think those were great words of empowerment and things that I think about too when I am getting very frustrated with how things are going in a workout, or not hitting my paces. You have to appreciate your body for all the things that it does, even if you're not in quote unquote full beast mode. So I love those words of empowerment. Next up, we have the amazing Yvette Valery, and I so much loved this episode. It was so amazing. I usually get really excited after I get done with these episodes and I want to go run or work out or do something, like just get all this exciting energy out of me. And this was definitely one of those episodes with Betta. So I hope you enjoy her words of empowerment.
I would think that, like, no matter who you are or what you're going through, like, you're going to struggle. You're going to stumble and you're not going to do it right the first time, and nobody's perfect. So, like, allow yourself some grace and appreciate yourself and, like, appreciate, the milestones that you have achieved. Like, there's always going to be something to do throughout your whole life. You're never going to be done until you're done. And so be patient and take your time and just really experience that as fully as you can. Like, don't try to take yourself out of a situation by substance abuse or hiding from it or running from the emotion. Like, feel the emotion, feel the experience, and go through the experience because it's your experience. So, like, don't ever let anybody tell you you're not you and you can't do it, because you can.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Vetta. So true. You can do it, and you have to be there for every single part of it because it is your experience. So true. Thank you so much for those words of empowerment. Our last episode was also a rebroadcast, and that's with Sarah McCormack, one of my old teammates. She's an amazing hill mountain runner, basically run up the hill, down the hill. And her words of empowerment, even to this day, have really helped me. And if you are going to be racing on any trail or hills, go back and listen to that episode, because she gives some really good pointers and they're very helpful for me. So hopefully for you too. Here's Sarah McCormack.
I think just focusing on the positives, like it's a pretty basic thing, but you can get really caught up in what you don't feel good at, but focusing on the positives, and also the fact that if you're a beginner at something, you can kind of make progress a lot quicker than, say 10 years down the line when you're just looking for the marginal gains. So just enjoy being on that really steep part of the learning curve where you can see big improvements straight away, and just kind of embrace the stuff that's not going so well and know that, it's going to improve.
Yes, Sarah, so true. You really should enjoy the steep learning curve. And that's actually kind of what this podcast is about. It's about trying something new and just really enjoying improvement and seeing that improvement and trying new adventures. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of 2023 Words of Empowerment. Thank you to everyone who was part of this year. You made it amazing, and I think all of your words of empowerment were so brilliant and empowering, and I took a lot from it, so I know others will too. Thank you so much for listening in 2023. We do appreciate our audience members. We hope that you are as empowered as we are by these wonderful guests that we've had throughout the year. I can't wait until 2024. We're going to have so many more amazing women coming on the podcast. You can follow me personally. That's at Jacalyn Gross, JACALYNGROSS. You can follow UR Sportswear. That's the letter U, the letter R, Sportswear, on all social platforms. You can check out any of our products at ursportswear.com. And if you haven't noticed yet, Women in Power Active has a new Instagram handle. So you can go to Women in Power Active on Instagram and give us a follow. If you are listening to this episode and you'd like to watch our video versions, you can still go to UR Sportswear's YouTube channel. That's letter U, letter R, Sportswear. And this episode was produced by Jeremy Canaria and edited by me. Thank you again for listening, for commenting, for enjoying this podcast. And I hope that you start an active adventure in 2024. Thank you for listening.